Hey, I hope you're having a good day. It's craziness, right? Not only is this time of year crazy, but with everything related to COVID exploding and plans changing, it feels like there is so much out of our control. And there really is. There is a lot of things that are completely out of our control. And that is what I want to talk about today. I'm going to give you a quick tip because I know you're busy and I know you have a lot on your plate and you're probably feeling stress from all different places, from the holidays, crunching, the end of work, the kids, trying to keep everyone healthy. If you are healthy, you're trying to stay healthy. If you're not healthy, you're trying to get healthy. You're trying to avoid getting in the mix of whatever. And then also continue to make decision after decision after decision with no right and wrong answers, just constantly making more and more decisions, which is absolutely exhausting. And that alone causes us to have like complete decision fatigue. So this I wasn't even going to talk about, but when you get to that place of having to make a decision about every single thing all the time, like we do right now, it is so much easier to be fatigued in your willpower and in your self-control when it comes to food, when it comes to rest, when it comes to treats and nutrition, because there is no willpower left. We've just made so many decisions and add on stress to that, add on holidays to that, add on emotions to that, and it's just a recipe for disaster. So I'm going to give you one strategy that is going to be really helpful. And anytime you're feeling this like spinning out of control and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know where to put my time, energy, attention, intention, all of these things because there are so many moving parts, there are so many things out of my control, and maybe you just end up wanting to snack. Maybe you just find yourself kind of caught in a cycle on that. I want you to bring yourself to this one tool. You can print it. I'm going to put it in the comments below. You can print it. You can use the back of a Christmas card envelope. You can use a napkin. You can use a Post-it note. You can just use your mind if you want to do this strategy. But what I want you to do is I want you to draw 3 circles in themselves. So first draw one big circle. Then inside that circle, I want you to draw another circle. And then inside that circle, I want you to draw another circle. So there's like a big circle, a smaller circle, and then a small circle. And these are all on one page. So you have 3 circles within each other. Little circle, around it, bigger circle, around it, biggest circle. Now I want you to think about what you have control over. What you have control over is going to go in that small circle on your paper. So in the little circle, what you have control over. I want you to think of everything you have 100% control over. And I'm going to tell you, this is not a lot of things. So in that little teeny circle in the middle of your paper, you want to put your nutrition. You have complete control over the food that actually enters your mouth, right? No one's going to force it in your mouth. You might not have control over all the things that relate to it, like what you have for options, but what you actually eat, you do have control over. You have control over your thoughts. I know you may not think this because they probably are running on out of control. They're probably running crazy right now, but you have complete control of your thoughts. You have the ability to think, I got this. Or you have the ability to think, I don't have this. It's all falling apart. You have the ability to think whatever you choose. So you have complete control over your thoughts. You have control over your attitude and your mindset. Even when it feels like there's chaos, you have control over your attitude and mindset. You have control over what you know and what support and strategies you get, right? And you have control over the things that you make priorities and the behaviors or the actions that you do. So you have control over your body, you have control over your thoughts, you have control over your mind, you have control over your nutrition. And that may seem like, oh, I don't really, you may not feel like you have control because you need Keisha and you need to like get control in the way that you want, but you do have control. You may give it away, you may give your power to different situations or when you're stressed or whatever. But these are the things you have control over. And that is a pretty short list. It's a very powerful list, but it's a pretty short list. We're going to come back to that. I want you to go to the biggest circle on your paper, okay? The biggest circle, the outer edge. In this circle, I want you to write down things that you have absolutely no control over. Absolutely no control. I'll give you a few hints. You have no control over the weather, right? You have no control over traffic. You just can't control it. These things are completely out of your control. You have no control on a grand scheme of the economy, right? The stock market, really, yes, you can do your little part, but you don't have control over if it goes shooting up or shooting down that day, right? You have no control over Natural disasters, tornadoes, landslides, floods, you don't have control over those things, right? So you also, and this is important, you also don't have any control over other people's thoughts. No control over that. You have no control over other people's opinions. You have no control over other people's judgments, other people's work, the what they do, anything regarding other people, you don't have control over. So this is where it gets tricky, right? Because this is where a lot of stress comes in. And I want you now to move to that middle circle. So the smallest one is what you have 100% control over. The biggest one is what you have absolutely no control over. And then this middle one, and this is where so much of our stress comes from. This is the circle of influence. The circle of influence is what you think you have control over, but you don't actually have control over it. This includes things that you do have some level of influence over, but not complete control. And this is where it gets so tricky and stressful because you then have to figure out where the lines that you are, like your boundaries, where the lines that you're going to either cross or stay the same, where they are. So in this circle of influence, you have things like your house, right? You can do everything you can, and then, someone can come home from school and spill a cup of juice on the floor, and it's like, that was out of your control completely, but it was in your influence because, like, you bought the juice. You could have said, like, don't take that in the other room, blah, 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 right? So these are the most stressful spaces. You have influence over your home. You have influence over Christmas. You probably have the most influence of anyone in your whole house over this holiday. You're making the plans, you're getting the gifts, you're wrapping, you're doing it, but you don't have 100% control because there's all these other people involved, because the world is depending on it, because maybe you have guests coming, maybe you're traveling. There's a lot of things that are not in your control when you think of Christmas in itself, right? Same goes for staying healthy with COVID, right? You don't have complete control of it. You have influence over what things you go to, how you show up, what you do for yourself to protect yourself, but you don't have 100% control, which makes it very stressful. You don't have 100% control over your kids. You can do everything you can to the best of your ability, and it's still, they're not in your control. They're not you. They can still say the things they want, think the things they want, behave the way they want. And yes, you do have influence over them. Same goes for your partner or your spouse. You can do all of these things up to a point, but then you have to give up control. And so this area of influence is where it becomes stressful. It includes your friends, it includes your calendar, it includes your work. You do have a lot of control over things, but not 100%. It includes your partner, your husband, your spouse, your kids. It includes the holiday. It includes COVID in your family, right? Again, these are all things that you do have a lot of control over, but not 100%. And so when you put your time, when you put your attention, and when you put your energy into these things, you do want to recognize, and this is hugely important, that you can do everything you can up to a certain point, and then it's not in your control 100%. So when you're feeling so stressed and when you're feeling like things are all out of control and things are kind of spinning, go back to that little circle on your paper and write down what you have 100% control over. And if you're not making the positive choices in this little circle, if you're not making positive choices about your thoughts, about your mindset, about how you move your body, about the rest and sleep you get, about the nutrition that you put in your mouth, about the thoughts that you have, about your attitude and your mindset, if you are not making choices on those, then that is really all you have control over. So if you're pouring your attention and your energy into things that are in your circle of influence, which is great, and we all do that, but that is where so much stress can come because it may not produce the results you want because it is right outside of that circle of control. And if you are feeling so much pressure and stress about the circle of concern, we call it. So you can be concerned about it. You can be concerned about the economy. You can be concerned about traffic. You can be concerned about COVID, but you can't have this huge impact on it. You can have your little personal impact on it, right? But you can't have this huge impact. So if you're pouring energy and stress into things that are in that big circle of concern, then you are just depleting and draining yourself. So what I want you to do is do these little circles anytime you're like, feeling the out of control energy. The out of control energy absolutely breeds snacking. It breeds distraction eating. It breeds reacting. It breeds snapping at kids and family and partners and parents and sisters. It breeds so much negative energy. So you want to bring back, again, ground yourself into that little circle. What do I have control over? My thoughts, my mindset, my behavior, my habits, the way that I am talking to myself, the way that I'm eating. I do have control of that. Notice where your stress falls. Most likely it's in the circle of influence. So, how can you decide I'm going to do up to here? Then I'm going to let go, right? And that's the thing I want you to practice. That's the habit I want you to build. And every single day, if you wake up and you just remind yourself what you have control over and what you want to pour your energy into, and like I said, absolutely give your energy into that circle of influence, but know that it's also out of your control. And that's where you can let go of some of that stress. I hope this is helpful and supportive. I'm going to post the graphic in here for you. If you have any questions or if you're thinking like, oh my gosh, yes, this is definitely something that I need to focus on, I would love to help you. If you're thinking about joining Keisha for January because you're sick of diets, you're sick of restriction, you don't want to do something that's going to help you to lose 10 pounds and then gain it right back, you actually want sustainable change. You want your family, your kids, everyone to feel the positive impact of you taking care of yourself, not angry, mean mom while she loses weight and then puts it back on and is frustrated and confused, right? You don't want that. If you want to rebuild your habits so you can lose weight in a way that's sustainable, so you can feel more confident in your body, so you can make healthy living easier, we're trying to make it so much more simple, then message me. The things that we focus on are everything in our circle of control, including stress, right? How do we manage stress in ways like this? So there are two ways to work together, one-on-one or in our group program. And I would love to chat with you about either or both. Leave me a message and I'll shoot you my calendar link so we can connect. All right. I hope you have a wonderful day. Hang in there. I'm sending you so much love and I'll talk to you soon.